It's gonna get serious. What are we doing? You know it. Oh, you know that's right. Oh, you know that's right. You know how big this is. And then all of a sudden, consent of the governed. Here we go. Another episode. It's time. Once again. Tommy P.
Hey everybody, this is Consent of the Governed with Sully and
Tommy P, baby!
and Tommy got a new addition to his studio for those who are viewing this on some sort of
Camera 1, camera 2.
Oh my God, close up.
Yeah.
Go back to camera. Go back to camera 1.
Camera 1.
Wow. Looks like you got to save a couple guitars and stuff like that. And then you go to camera 2.
Camera 2.
Camera 1. And camera 2. Oh, and then it's just your ugly mug. Perfect.
I am a handsome man.
Well, we all have our cross to bear. We were talking about it earlier.
I am not what you would call a handsome man.
So today, a lot like all of the other episodes, when we started this thing and did the pilot episode, we didn't know that there would be this just plethora of political jargon and garbage that we would have to go through before we could even start introducing, some of the other things we'd like to talk about, like music and crypto. And obviously both make sense to talk about, but not now. It's just crazy.
That's exactly it, man. Now we have to really watch what we talk about. I mean, I was talking with my mom about this, of all people, a while back.
How's your mama doing, by the way?
She's doing good.
I haven't talked to her in a while.
I know I got to give him a call after this, but
okay, tell him I said hi.
I will.
Good, thanks. Now that we got that out of the way.
No,
what were you guys talking about?
We were talking about the censorship that we started to see over the summer with the certain groups within Twitter and certain hashtags that were out there and trending. And we started to see, we saw mass censorship and mass, silence on, anybody that was talking anything Flynn, anything, WWG1, WGA, anything like that, which, really, it's associated with the 17 movement and all that business. But at the same time, we were trying to keep it cool and trying to keep it quiet, but it was so blatantly obvious, like how they were censoring the movement, like how that was scaring them. And this is what we talked about earlier. If you want to see who the real dictator is, just look who they're trying to silence and why are they trying to silence them. And you started to see that happen back then, and it was just like boom. Massive amounts of pages just wiped out and accounts wiped out. And with no explanation other than no explanation. Right. I don't even think there was even an episode that they could pin violence on, like where it was like, oh, the WWG1 WGA movement did this. No, there was no.
Right.
There was no actual movement there that was causing any kind of disturbance. So, to see that happen there and then go to this extent is really, I don't know, it's kind of incredible.
It's getting to a point now where a lot of the things that you would see in a normal corporate news outlet are almost laughable. So this morning, we all know what's been going on for a while. And by the way, I didn't put any dates to this. This is Thursday, February 4th. This morning I saw on even local news, my wife watches, gets the weather and does all that stuff. And where we live, the news is like really tame, they don't talk about much because there's not much going on. But one of the things that came up, and it was hilarious because I see the little ticker at the bottom and it says over 4,000 different coronavirus. Oh my God, camera two. So over 4,000 coronavirus strains, identified by scientists. And they're putting that out on the news. And I'm sitting there going like, oh my God, the news just jumped the shark. Like they just jumped the shark. They just, basically normalized the actual virus back to where it was when this started, which was on the back of a Lysol can. You know what I mean? Like, so they started with this thing where all of a sudden it was this gigantic monster. And then all of a sudden now it's like, oh, there's 4,000 different versions of it. So we can take this either way we want to go. We can go, everybody's going to die, or, oh, no, it might as well be a tree frog in southern, South America. You know what I mean? There's 4,000.
Well, you can already see the delusion in the whole severity of the virus. Mm-hmm. Already where it's like, yeah, some people are still trying to push it and they're trying to push the international stuff, but at the same time, oh, look, we can open everything up again. It's like, what? Wait, what?
Yeah, so
we're all gonna die.
Yeah, the blatant contradiction is still there. And talking to people, a lot of the people I talk to because of my area are he keeps surprising me with the cameras. He's just got a new toy. Tom's got a new toy. So the people in my area, I'm in a very, like, one of the bluest counties in what would traditionally be a red state. And so there's a really weird dynamic where something like that happens. And I love those kind of areas. Typically that's where I live, like Colorado, it's very much the same way. But this place is really weird in particular because of the history behind red and blue and how weird it is. And the history in and of itself is just so tumultuous with weird things. And,
you also have a lot of good and evil going on out there though, too.
Very much so, yeah. But I would say that the weird thing is that, all your, old school punks, people that are our age, right, and beyond, they would typically be in this area. They'd be Democrat because the other conservative portions would be, they'd be like red because we're in a red state, right? So they'd be more conservative. And people don't seem to understand or grasp the definition of what a conservative is and what a liberal is. And it's really weird that now this weird thing happened where, in the South, you had the Dixiecrats, which wanted to maintain their, level of slaves and everything else. And they were the Democrats. So here I can run into people at a gas station that are 80 something years old behind the till, and they cannot stand Trump whatsoever, but they're the most flaming racists I've ever seen.
Yeah. Which is just so, blows my mind.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, and I'm not saying that like Trump follows are racist, but, typically you see the, stupid rednecks. You're racist, son of a bitch.
Well, no,
I grew up punk. I grew up punk rock in northern Wisconsin.
Yeah.
And, I would have to say, it was.
You were mostly liberal.
Punk, mostly liberal, man.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, very liberal at that point,
And then you have the farmers with subsidies. They'd all vote liberal for a really long time. And then before you know it, didn't take long. And then all of a sudden, all of the punks and everybody else are actually turning over to a more conservative, if not anarchist, voluntarist approach. But what I'm saying,
the true punks are really over there. The posers, are the crew.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what we can and can't say.
Right. But what I'm saying is that this corporate media blitz to create party politics over, identity politics over the course of the last even, 20 years has varied so dramatically that now it is full-blown Fonzie jumping the shark. They cannot do anything without contradicting each other. They can't contradicting themselves, contradicting everything that they believed in. And I think that's part of what is going to be happening here is this really weird contradictory thing where it's like, oh no, I'm punk and I'm against the establishment, but I am all for, the establishment media. I love corporate news, but I hate corporations. I hate government, but I cannot stand if, somebody has a free market, because that's capitalism, So there's this weird thing where every way you look, no matter what you hear, no matter who you talk to, you have this thing where people will only believe certain scientists and not others. It doesn't matter how many papers are there or anything else.
It's that compartmentalization. Yes, of basically free thought. It's that word you use all the time. It's the bifurcation of bifurcation. Yeah. And he told someone, and then someone. They continue to divide on these microcosms where it's like, do you really care at that point? No, you fucking shouldn't.
Well, that in and of itself, its own movement, its own social engineering is eating itself alive, and we're watching it. That's the one thing that I really enjoy about this, is that I've studied, social engineering for a long time and trying to figure out, why we're involved in crypto is because of the engineering of the monetary system, right? And that has things that just end up, trickling down through the system as far as how to engineer your life, It's one thing to say, hey, yes, absolutely, women should be equal to men. It's another to just do that and lobby for it, for the sole fact that now you can, instead of just tax one half the people of your nation, now you can tax both, so there's
it's a definite ploy, and like you see it, psyops of psyops of psyops, like we were talking about too. And that whole male female equality, that that's something we should just touch base on real quick too. The male female equality, politically, socially, financially, that we should totally have an equality there. But feminism and masculinism are going to be separate. You need that perfect balance of feminism and masculinism in a relationship to make it work. Whether you're gay or not, you need that. We're not talking about genders here. This is and feminism and masculinism.
There's always a balance. There's always a balance.
There's a balance, and this is why you don't have this in competing competitive sports. For crying out loud, it's like, I don't know. It's like watching a couple of gay guys get into a fight. It's scary, dude. Those guys, I mean, especially if like they're built at all, it's like, holy shit, man, don't hit me. You're going to fuck me up. That's because that's, you still have, somebody playing the role of a feminism or a feminist, sort of
and they
role in that relationship.
Right.
But it's still two dudes, and two dudes beating up on each other, man, they can cause some van damage.
But in anything in this world, you have like the universe, God, whatever you want to call it, will always provide a balance, but will also always provide chaos to that balance, because you can't get so out of whack where all of a sudden up is down, black is white.
Well, I guess right? my whole point there was just really addressing the whole thing of, allowing dudes to beat up on chicks.
Social constructs. Right.
Where it's just like, it's like, you really can't allow that to happen. That's a fantasy world, man. I mean,
well, no, I think you should. I think you absolutely should. I think we should learn the lesson the hard way. And I told you this, I don't know how many times.
I thought we already did, man. I mean,
well, no. Not enough people know their history. Not enough people do their own research. They want to soak up the normal, corporate garbage. So they're going to go ahead and they're going to do that. They're going to form their opinion, and then all of a sudden their opinion is going to have to be shot down. And that's the school of hard knocks. When you go to school and your school may be, a little jacked up, and tell you one thing is something and it turns out it's not. The universe will provide the hard slap in the face that is the actual lesson that should have been taught to you a while before. And it doesn't matter if it's in school or if your parents didn't teach you something or anything else. If you're out of line, the universe, God will slap you back into place. And we're seeing it now. We're definitely seeing it now. And I told you when we did, when we were having multiple conversations before the inauguration, where I thought if Biden actually got inaugurated, if it was actually a thing, that we were all going to learn democracy good and freaking hard. I mean, just good and hard. We were going to figure out what democracy was real fast. And in 2 weeks, as of today, yesterday, we're getting it good and hard. And I think that's the balance, is you have this random dude that comes in, shows everybody how things should work as if this place was a business, as if this country was a business, and how he would run it and how you could prosper and run it as a business. Because that's exactly what it is. It's corporation. And he ran it as such. Some people on one side, not okay with it. People on the other side, very okay with it, super supportive. All of a sudden that goes away. Let's not discuss how it went away. But now you get the other thing. And I don't even want to talk about, who may be in charge and what's going on. All I want to say is you're finding out that somebody who treats it as their own personal piggy bank and the other person who treated it as a business that wanted it to be successful, we've learned that lesson in 2 weeks. It feels like 2 months to me, but we've learned that lesson in 2 weeks. And
tell me about it, man.
I wanted to get into like Myanmar and stuff like that. But I mean, that's just a huge, you're talking about data and the way data is parsed out and given out to people in the form of social engineering, or if it's actual data, blah, 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 who can tell at this point? But you look at this and you're going, well, why would you do that? You know what I mean? Like there's specific things that even if you're just completely, subjective about all this stuff, you can still sit there and go like, holy shit, that's a bad idea. And I think it has to be shown to those that may not have been on board because they didn't like some dude's tweets or the way the news made them look,
I don't know. I think, at this point, if you can't see that the media and the powers that be and the people that are controlling the narrative have been caught in one big lie, I would have to say that you're fucking stupid. Open your eyes and really look at this point in time. I can't say anything else, but Jesus, jumped up Christ, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah, like how much like mental gymnastics does it take?
To take all you got to do is look at what they're saying right now, and then go back 3 months, and go back 4 months, go back 6 months. Go back a year.
It's not even that long. It's not
even that long. They are contradicting themselves on such a regular basis that you got to be an idiot or heavily medicated or...
No, to be honest with you, I mean, I work, like I said, with a lot of really smart people. And to be honest with you, I don't know. Because these people are smart. They do their things. They like the Second Amendment. They like the First Amendment. They like all of these things. But for some reason, there's just this weird disconnect and I can't figure it out. And I work with them every single day. And there's just this logic, critical thinking disconnect. And they're critical thinkers. And they're logical most of the time, or if not all the time, to my level of thinking for the most part. But it's just like, I think it's one of those things I've beat up and down. I think it's assigning authority, right? So if I don't have the time in my day to figure out what is going on in the world and do all the research that I need to do, and I just have to hand over the authority of my belief structure according to that given let's call it construct, whether it's news or my medical health or anything. So I go to the doctor and I say, camera 2. I go to the doctor and I say, Yeah, absolutely. Load me up with whatever drugs you need to, because I trust you implicitly. I can do that, or I can say, hey, here's the deal. Let's start small and let's use this as a test. It's my body. I might as well just test these things out. Let's not make any rash decisions right off the bat. And let's work this thing out as if it was an experiment and run it as a test, And there are two ways to do that approach in a medical way with your own body. I'm not telling anybody else to do that. All I'm saying is that's what I do. I just work things out. These people just literally say, oh, no, doc, you think I should be on like antidepressants because I'm feeling a little down every once in a while? Cool. Load it up. I'll be right at the drugstore as soon as it's available, and I'll go and do that. Or
herein lies the problem, especially with
right.
people in their late 30s. And we've all seen this look at our buddy Ben.
Mm-hmm.
Your testosterone starts dropping a little bit, and you start, feeling vulnerable. You're not invincible anymore.
Right.
And first thing a doc will do, take some antidepressants. You're feeling down.
Yeah.
Well, no shit, I'm feeling down. How do you not feel down? Your testosterone levels are dropping. The world's going to shit.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, but you have a pill that's going to and look what happens.
Well, dude, I'll tell you this, it never works because it makes the inside feel good, but nothing gets fixed on the outside to actually make the problem better, right? Mm-hmm. So it's the same thing with the news that we're seeing right now is you could tell me that there's 4,000 different strains of coronavirus. I don't give a fuck. There's like 50 billion different strains of all sorts of viruses that hit my body every day. And the beauty is I don't develop something because I have an immune system, right? And if I do develop something, most likely I'm going to be able to sleep it off. I'm of the age where that shit just happens. My body was designed in a certain way to handle that business.
Now, if you were in your early 80s,
mm-hmm.
With type 2 diabetes,
mm-hmm.
You're going to have a tougher time. But at the same time, you could still keep your vitamin D levels up. I mean, dude, you got to look at that. I mean, in all reality,
mm-hmm.
we were screaming about this since this all began, was just taking your fucking supplements. And
so that means that this coronavirus is an indictment of the medical industry in and of itself. Mm-hmm. It is legitimately an indictment of the medical industry. Like, why are you boosting all of these things, not boosting, the right things? Like, both of us know that we treat our bodies like shit. I've done it for years. I treat my body like shit.
I do too.
And it still works really well, right? But as you get older, preventative is the way to go. Like you load up on the vitamin D. You don't go and get a vaccine. You load up on things that are preventative. They're not necessarily Eastern.
Or drink
medicine.
Fucking water. That's another thing too that people just don't do. They're just like, well, I don't like to taste the water.
Oh. It shouldn't taste like anything. First off, it should actually be the most neutral thing you've ever put in your body ever.
Yeah, but it doesn't taste good, so I like drinking soda.
Well, yeah, I need the bubbles. So get bubbly water, and then you're still going to have to drink twice as much water as you did bubbly water in order to cancel out. Anyway, if anybody listening, just understand. If you weigh 200 pounds, you need to drink 100 fluid ounces of water. It's that simple. That's the equation. Drink half of your body weight in fluid ounces of water, and you will be surprised at how little dis-ease or disease you actually get. I don't do a whole lot. It almost feels like I get all my water from just, sucking it up from the air around me because I don't actually drink enough water. But I'll tell you what, when I do drink a shit ton of water, super clear-headed, ready to go.
Anyway. Yeah. I mean, and dude, your insides work. Everything just.
Oh yeah.
Shit, dude. I do 100 to 120 ounces a day, every day.
Yeah, and so not to make this, we're gonna have to come up with a whole other,
nutritional section because I cut down on my coffee intake too now. I'm drinking.
That's what you said last time, and I'm still gonna laugh at you and call you a cock.
Oh, it's so nice.
It's so nice. It's so nice.
Smoke some reefer.
Oh my god! When are you growing dreads? Boy, If you can't see that because you're listening on the podcast, Tom just flipped me off, and he's going to switch to camera one.
Camera one.
And there's a big middle finger. Camera one, middle finger. So no, just to keep going on this. I mean, none of this makes sense to us. None of this should make sense to anybody else out there. But that's, in my opinion, where the rubber meets the road on this. Is none of it should make sense, because nothing has made sense for years for me. But it was easy to digest for me because I could just counter trade the news. I knew the news was fucked up. I knew the news was telling me a bunch of bullshit, and the louder they were, the less of a problem it was. You know, same thing happens now with coronavirus. The louder they are, the less problems it is. They can get very convincing. Don't get me wrong. And sometimes they'll even catch me up with a whole bunch of shit. But to be honest with you, you can just counter trade the news and you're probably going to be all right. So the other thing is with the news, this Myanmar thing, right? They're calling it a military coup. It's not a military coup. This is something called a quo warranto. They don't.
Quo warranto.
So
sounds like an Indian name. I'm Chief Quo Warranto.
so now that
that'll get riled out there.
Yes. Now that we have assimilated culture, fuck them. No. Quo warranto is something that is based in common law from English common law dating back to the Magna Carta, which basically states that, well, not necessarily the Magna Carta, but basically states that if a elected official or any official that even is not elected is holding a certain position in a certain capacity, they can be taken out of that position given the right level of evidence. And the trial has to be heard. There could be no getting away with it on a technicality.
And
kind of thing.
from my understanding, it almost seems like the organization that elected the official or allowed the elected official to be put in place can also be questioned.
No, not only can they be questioned, they can be prosecuted.
Like their legitimacy can be questioned.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. So if the legislation, let's just say the legislators of,
because they can look at it and be like, the foundation, company, corporation, whoever actually allowed this to happen is illegitimate.
Yeah, so that has ramifications that go down the line, but let's just talk about like a single, this could happen whether you're a federal representative of a state or in a state legislative body. And it can also happen even a governor of a state or your sheriff. Your sheriff in your county can be taken out in this same way. And it was designed as such for the sole purpose that not only if they were elected in the wrong way, but I'm also starting to understand that even if you don't like them and enough people got together, like this recall with Gavin Newsom, right? That's where a lot of this stuff stems from as well. Is this
how many signatures does that have, by the way?
He's something like less than 100,000 off, and I think he's got 200 and some odd thousand there to where it's going to start the recall and they'll re-elect Gavin Newsom, or they won't. So it'll have to go back through an election process. But the reason why I bring this Myanmar thing up is because you have your news calling it a military coup. It's not a military coup. The paperwork was filed. 147 different bodies of evidence were given to 104 and on behalf of 147 different people who wanted to challenge the legitimacy of 147 people in their position. And they are an English-based legal, lawful system, and they are working it out. And the military stepped in because the military had to step in because there needed to be a peaceful transition of power from one to the other. And it's not a military coup. What you may see here, because this is already happening in Illinois, It's already happening in South Carolina. They've already been filing. They're filing more in Ohio. And it's coming down the pike. From what I hear, there are a lot of people that may not just be like a simple recall like you had in Wisconsin over there. This may actually go even all the way up to the president, in which case there are certain laws that have anything to do with it where only your former president or former acting or approved attorney general can take the president's spot or challenge that spot. So if you guys are trying to get into this and figure your stuff out in your states, understand that you may not be able to do it, depending, but any person out there, anybody that's feeling like they have been screwed over, now is your time to go do your research, figure out what a quo warranto is, get all your stuff together, make sure you know, because this will probably go to, if not your state Supreme Court, it will absolutely be heard in your federal Supreme Court, and none of them can deny it. They can't just throw you out on, you don't have any standing or any bullshit. No, they have to hear it. You're putting them in a box that says, hey, this is what I think is going on. Here's my evidence. Let's roll. But anyway, I think that's what we need to be keeping our eye on, not just on a state by state basis, but if these things start working out, you may see a flood of these come out. Like, I don't know, you're in Colorado, Tom, your state legislature said, no, we're not going to do that anymore. And they just struck it down. They struck it down.
Everything,
you can't even do it.
Everything out here struck down, man. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, it's a beautiful state. Don't get me wrong. And I'll probably end up staying out here for a bit, but
they're a bunch of cockbags.
Yeah.
One of the things we did want to make sure is that now that the amount of news coming out is almost non-existent, and we don't have to take ourselves all that seriously, which we really never tried to, but it kind of seemed like that's just the way this shit went. But we're going to.
Well, we take what we believe in seriously.
Very much so. Yes. Yeah. But I wanted to see if I could possibly share something here. Share my screen and show. Well, it tells me I can share my screen. Let me see. I don't want to stop the video. I want to choose virtual background. Oh no, video settings. No. Can you see that? Can you see any of my stuff? Well, that sucks. Because I wanted to
just share your screen.
I'm trying, man. Okay, here we go.
Trying hard enough.
Here we go. Can you see this?
The longest shit.
Yeah. So let me see. It's off to the side. I got to bring this over.
Wow, you are very unprepared.
Well, I'm trying here, man.
Using Google?
Well, it had to.
No, you could have the Brave browser with DuckDuckGo. Well,
of course I could, but I had to just bring this up during our little pause. Where did my stuff go? Oh, how did it go away? Can you see this?
Dude, have you been smoking weed or something?
No, I'm just gonna get out of that. I wanted to show everybody that there was a woman that laid a 26-foot turd, which is kind of what's happening right now. I don't know, 22nd turd is what we're laying right now, but the look on her face as it's happening is priceless. I mean, she's really working for it, and she knew what she was trying to do. We should all be that way. We should all be that way.
Had a goal in mind.
Well, I mean, hey, a goal is a goal, and some are harder than others, and some need more than others. But when you're really struggling through it, I mean, the goal is the goal. I don't care what it is you feel. I personally don't think that I would lay a 26-foot turd and let that be my legacy, but damn, good honor,
I think I would, that I could live with that legacy. That's pretty.
You'd be all right with that? Yeah. It's not bad. I mean,
like, whoa, dude, one time I laid down ate a bunch of PF Changs, laid down a 26-foot turd.
I'll tell you this. That we were talking about it before. And when you have to rent out a venue to knock out a deuce, that's legit. You can't just do that in your living room. You're not going to do that in your own toilet. You have to, like, people had to be there. Hey, look at that puppy.
Puppy.
Does your puppy knock out 26-foot deuces?
Yeah, he does. 26 foot, he says.
Okay. Well, anyway, to begin the show for real this time. The second part of this show. We were discussing Myanmar and a couple of in-depth things regarding Quo Warranto, which absolutely people should be looking up and figuring it out. Also, you can message me at Eric Crypto 1C, and if you want information regarding this,
you can message me at tommyp.clownpenis.fart.
Yes, it's a legit domain. It is not. But you can message me, and I'll send you links to 26-foot turds if you want, or
26footturd.com.
regarding Quo Warranto. Speaking of shit on the internet, we were discussing earlier the amount of not just like straight up just habdashery, the censoring of people who are saying legit things, but we didn't get into the other stuff, which is the promotion of just garbage. People legitimately taking something that should be a grassroots movement to find truth and turning it into this fiasco. We can all say that, Alex Jones is most likely 60%, garbage and 40% truth, whatever that ratio may be. It's just, off the top of my head. But we can also say that, like, the news is 60% garbage and 40% truth, right? It's up to you to decide what's what. But it's one thing to say, like, oh my God, this guy got taken off, like Alex Jones and everything else. Is that something that, because in my opinion, that's something that most people would say, oh my God, they must be onto something because they were completely stripped of their badge, or they no longer have a channel, or blah, blah, blah. But you also have the people that are, saying some things similar, most likely 60-40, whatever the case may be, where they're loading you full of bullshit. And there's a little bit of truth in there, and it all sounds like it's coming from a movement that should be making some serious headway. It's very, committed to the truth movement and everything else. But all of a sudden, they're 500,000 subscribers up in a matter of a month.
Talking about, man, no, it's purposeful. This is not.
It's engineered, is what you're saying?
Yeah, this is all engineered. It's engineered to push the extremists on both sides.
I can see that.
I'm sure there's plenty of BLMers out there that are just going like, hey man, Black Lives Matter, period. That's all they care about.
Right.
But their whole organization is completely misconstrued by the actions of a few. And it's the same thing. The same thing they do on the Q side of things, or I don't even know if I can say that anymore.
Fuck it.
Or on the opposite side, on the opposition. I mean, they really try to push the misinformation, push the psyops on the psyops,
right? To
see, not to see, but to persuade the population in a particular way.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, these so-called influencers that are still online right now after the great purge of 2020 and 2021,
right?
They're allowed to be there. They're not there because I mean, they're not getting censored. They're not getting censored for a fucking reason.
Well, I mean, so therein lies the problem, right? So if you're YouTube, do you take all of the people down that are speaking truth? No, that screws you up because it shows your hands, right? Do you take all of them down that are above a certain standard, right? Bongino can speak truth on any platform he wants, right? He can even take people from YouTube or Twitter and send them to Parler or Rumble, and he doesn't get taken down. Why? He's not making any money off of YouTube or Twitter because they won't give him any money. They're trying to stifle him in a monetary sense, right? Did he end up being too big to fail? Like if he had that many people, is it something where he just can't go anywhere? Where'd you go? Oh,
right
there you
there.
go. Oh, anyway, did he get
Camera 2.
camera 2. So did he get to stay there because he was making YouTube a whole bunch of money, or did he get to stay there because if they took him down, it would be a detriment not to them, fiscally, but to their agenda? Like, would something possibly become of what it is? And then you have to look at not only the people
That's
who have
what,
millions of followers,
but you have to
small
ask yourself
ones.
that question too. Like in the case of Bongino,
Right.
it's like I like listening to Bongino,
Mm-hmm.
but he's been demonetized on their channels, but he hasn't been taken down yet.
Right. So does that mean that he's on the side of what you would consider YouTube or Google or big tech or the deep state? No, he pretty much like destroys them every chance he gets. So what is it that keeps them up, right? Is it the size? Is it, we have to think about these things logically. Is it the size of the channel? Is it the lack of truth, or is it, a variant amount of truth? Like what is making it, because we know of algorithms that keep people away from channels like that or demonetize channels like that. But with every algorithm, right, you have to have some level of math. You have to be able to say if this then this, some sort of logic gate, some sort of something. So in my opinion, I don't believe that it exists, the algorithm exists to a level where it can be smart enough to go, oh, we have to leave 15% of all of these people, so we're going to pick these ones with certain keywords or anything like that. I think there's a human element to it, and this is going to come up later, I think, in a lot of civil suits that are going to start happening. Like, why are certain things being picked to be taken out, and why are others being let go? And with the amount of people that are being not necessarily boosted, but
allowed to exist on the platform,
allowed to exist / put out there, allowed to go viral, let's say, allowed to go viral, right? Because normally if let's say Rice or Robert Beatles from Monarch, if he comes out and says stuff, he says stuff that's 100 times more truthful. Both Rice and Beatles say things that are more truthful than even Bongino. And they're not allowed to necessarily go viral. I mean, could it be their lack of marketing? Sure, right? We can look at that as a possible variable in this example. Is it their lack of hot button topic? Maybe. Is it their lack of engagement in other avenues like Twitter or Facebook or things like that? I don't think so, because I've seen, both of those cats, as far as like Rice and Beatles, really, push their stuff and do it well, and actually, pay people to get their stuff out there. And it just never seems to get to the level of a Charlie Ward or a Simon Parks, right? It never just is all of a sudden like, bam, this is viral. So I think we're starting to see a weird verification where if your channel's demonetized and you're screwed up, you can just, oh my God, I'm famous. And then on the other side, this big extreme, if I said something that's super truthful and it's getting around there, it's just this organic movement of truth, right? And YouTube will just let that go, and people will just sit there and think about it like, oh, my favorite channel absolutely got destroyed for saying a lot less than this other channel, but then this other channel just goes through the roof, and they're like, oh yeah, both are absolutely true. No, son of a bitch, those are mutually exclusive things that happened, but it's the same people in charge. You know what I mean? Same people in charge. And I think we're all trying to do the one thing that we should have been doing ourselves. You are your own authority on information, and you have to do your own research. You have to go out there and you have to do this. I don't care how much time you have. I'm busy as fuck too. Look, I shaved all my beard off, did all my stuff. Why? Because I don't want to do it again for another 3 months. And that's the way it works out. Like, I don't have the time to deal with that shit. I'm busy as fuck.
Did you bake it? You get clothes?
No, I still got a little hair on there. But no, I'm busy as fuck too. I got projects going on, but I continue to, do my research.
I think at this point in time, we're probably preaching to the choir saying, do your own research. I think anybody.
No, because these assholes aren't doing their research. I'm still getting people I would look at as smart folk are still trying to tell me that JFK is alive. No matter what. I'm sorry, JFK Jr. is alive. No matter what you say, no matter how much shit you put in their face. Ugh. And then I get the other side of the coin where why the hell
even if you put a 26-foot shit in their face, they'll still.
Ooh. I mean, it might have to be a 26-foot shit.
See, a 26-footer, that's a game changer, man.
You want to see a fish? Let me tell you a story. So, no, I mean, I can talk to people, and that's. I was having a conversation with you on the way home from work today, and it's one of those deals where I work with people that contradict themselves all day. In their beliefs all the time. This level of mental gymnastics where it's almost like I don't have to think about things because I've assigned authority. And if I do think about them and it hurts, I stop thinking about that. That's cognitive dissonance. That's where it's like, it's easier to ridicule somebody for thinking one thing than it is to actually dig into what they were thinking to try and see if it's honest and truthful.
The great disconnect.
The great disconnect.
Yeah.
Agreed.
I think on that note, we should probably end it. I got to roll.
Yeah. You got to get out. You got to do shit.
Good shit. Stuff and junk.
Stuff and junk. Well, this has been Eric Sully Sullivan and
Tommy P. Patterman. Tommy PC Patterman. My company is Tommy PC.
Clever. I hope you get
You're a guy in IT.
Oh, I hope you get canceled.
Yeah.
You're probably gonna get canceled.
Fuck you.
This fucking sucks. Anyway, we're probably gonna be doing a little thing with Lee from Kiffs. Keep it fucking simple crypto.
That's be sweet. I think I'm game. I think I'm available, so that'll be cool.
Good. Yeah. The other night, geez, I think it was this weekend. He was drinking for like 16 hours straight. He's like, we ended up on the phone for fucking ever. It was amazing. I love that cat. He's out in Liverpool these days. So
Liverpool.
He's a little more accessible. He got out of the Norwegian area. But anyway, yeah. Hey, everybody. Appreciate you if you're listening. Appreciate you if you're not.
I don't appreciate anybody. I appreciate what you do. If you do something.
Insightful, profound. And on that note,
I hate that term. I appreciate you.
Well, that's why you have to say it. That's why you have to say it like you're Southern. Appreciate you.
No, I appreciate it. Being the task at hand. I don't appreciate you. You could be a dick bag. I don't know.
I appreciate your actions in the movement.
Yeah, but I don't
Thanks.
appreciate you personally because I don't know who the fuck you are.
You're a cunt. All right.
You're a cockbag. Go fuck yourself.
And on that note, to the kids.